Okay, we begin now our second and concluding talk about the altar from Slabodka, Rabbi Hanoch Teller. Today's shiur is Lili Nishmas Rachalea Bas Chaim Tzvi, Aleh Shalom. Okay, we left with a very good question last time, which is, the altar was able to take a person and fine-tune and tweak the person to achieve their maximum. Able to pull out all the kochot nefesh, all that lays dormant and potential in a person, and actualize it. So the great question is, how do we do this? Assuming we're not the altar from Slabodka, how can we get our kids to do their maximum? How can we get ourselves to do the maximum? And the answer I have, now I'm not a student of Slabodka, but I believe this must be it. It's my own conjecture. But I think what happened is, in one word, he achieved a clarity. We are so obfuscated, so beclouded by confusion, and images which aren't exactly clear. And we kid ourselves all the time. In Slabodka, they created a clarity and therefore enabled a person to achieve all which they could. How can you go a little further? So one thing we know for sure is if you want to increase your potential, everyone has the wherewithal to do a little bit more. No one can deny that. If you're on the treadmill, everyone has the wherewithal to go another 15 seconds, to burn another 5 calories, half a minute, another 10 calories, another minute. Provided, of course, you're already on the treadmill. Meaning, first of all, you have to have is a game plan and a goal. That's what has to start off. And then you have to try and rev up and be able, once you're on the path, to increase. And do all that you can not to be distracted. Now, there's great confusion here. People think if I have a plan and I have a goal, I make myself a resolution, and here we're hitting a sore spot because we all make resolutions and we all fail at them. Be them resolutions regarding a diet, how we're going to conduct ourselves, the kind of parent we'll be, the kind of spouse we'll be, and they fail. So the point which is really critical to understand is, having a goal and falling down is not a mistake. Staying down, that's a mistake. A plane which flies from New York to Los Angeles is off course 85% of the route. It's constantly, dynamically, perpetually being vectored back on course. But the bottom line is, it lands in the right runway, in the right airport, in the right city. That's not a failure. Everyone thinks of Babe Ruth as the home run king, which is true. And everybody forgot the fact he also struck out the most, because he was focused on the goal and he stayed to the dream. Likewise, Sandy Koufax. He was the greatest pitcher. There's not a Jewish kid in the world who doesn't know about Sandy Koufax. Not many non-Jews either don't know about Sandy Koufax. And everybody forgot the fact he had the most wild pitches and the most other thing we started off, but he was focused on the goal. And he's remembered for that. So falling down is not a mistake. Staying down is a mistake. And the gym where I work out here in Yerushalayim, the workers in the gym are Russian, and they are, how do I say this? They are Hebrew challenged, and they just can't seem to get the words straight. So I was trying to get from the squash court to the pool without having to go outside and getting changed and dressed, and all. I would try to avoid that. And one of the guards caught me, and he wanted to tell me I was making a mistake, and he said to me, "Ata ta'ut, you are a mistake." I'm still thinking about this. He meant to say, of course, I'm making a mistake, but he's telling me I'm a mistake. And a mistake means not to fall down, but to stay down. That's a mistake. One more thing I should have mentioned last time. In our last talk we said the last thing was 3 lessons that the altar taught. Gadlut ha'adam, the greatness of man, the depths of punishment for having gone off, for what you have to realize there's consequences, and the chesed. Now, I have a story which really encapsulates all 3 of them together. And that is, the yeshiva moved from Slabodka to Hebron. This happened in 1925. What happened was, in 1920, their altar feared that his students would be drafted into the Lithuanian army, and he decided the best solution was to move the whole yeshiva lock, stock, and barrel to Israel, to the city of Hebron. It cost $25,000. Very interesting story, that at the time this happened, their altar's brother-in-law, Moshe Mordechai Epstein, who was his junior by 17 years. Moshe Mordechai was the Rosh Yeshiva, and the Mashgiach was 17 years older, Rav Nosson Finkel. And it was a fabulous, genius team, their altar and Moshe Mordechai Epstein. He sent a cable, we need $25,000 to move the yeshiva. And according to the story that I read, there was one very generous, benevolent, magnanimous, philanthropic Gvir in America who foot the bill. That was in 1925. As you all know, just 3-4 years later was the great stock crash and the depression. And at that point, the Rebbe Moshe Mordechai was not well enough to make the trip overseas, so his illustrious son, Rav Chatzkel Sarna, traveled to America. There's a parlor meeting that was held for the Slabodka Yeshiva, and the person who had raised all that money to enable Yeshiva to move to Hebron got up to speak. He said, "My friends, you all know who I am. I was once a very wealthy and affluent man, and my money was padded. I had merchant marine, and I had T-bonds. I had timber. I had real estate. And now, I have nothing. I am forced to live in the dank basement that is moldy in one of my former properties, and I'm renting this. I have nothing left. All I have left is the money which I invested in the Slabodka Yeshiva. That's all I have left. I ask you now to make your contribution." Now those were very stirring words, but everyone was very impressed except for one person in the room, and that